Yes. How you doing, everybody? I'm Ken Bykoff, and welcome to the Peegs Postgame Live. Indiana scores a victory over Penn State, 83-78 here at Simon Scott Assembly Hall. It's late on a Wednesday night, and I know it, but sure would like to take your calls. 812-393-2600 is the number. Uh, Indiana ends up pulling off a victory as I keep losing a connection here for the call in. I can't say that I'm excited about that.
To connect.
There you go.
Connect the show now.
Everybody could hear that. That's good. All right. Don't know what's up with that. Anyway, the Hoosiers score a win over a very, very scrappy Penn State team that gave the Hoosiers absolutely everything that they could handle. Uh, Indiana shot was played uncharacteristic tonight. Uh, Shot 56.9% from the field overall. That's not unusual. They do usually a pretty decent job with that. But 10 of 15 from 3-point range, including 6 of 8 from 3-point range in the second half alone. Indiana 15 of 25 from the free throw line, allowed Penn State to shoot 52.9% from the field themselves. And this really came down to offensive rebounds, second chance points, and those were the keys. Indiana had twice as many offensive rebounds as Penn State, and they were able uh, to score the victory. 812-393-2600 is the number. We're hoping my voice will hold out as long as it could. I've been developing a little frog as the day's gone on. Not real thrilled about that, but here we are. Jonathan on the chat says, "What a great win! Gritty without Renew. He um, didn't quit. Huge threes from Gallo, and that's exactly it. Renew. You'll hear Mike Woodson talk about it here in a few minutes. Uh, Said they had to take Malik Renew to the hospital, the emergency room, uh, because he was fine during shoot around and then came down with something. So we'll see, what that situation is. But Indiana um, does its best without him and did what they could in this one um, to be able to score the victory. It wasn't easy, to say the least. It was not easy, but they do get it, and they keep their opportunities to go to the
Welcome, host.
NCAA tournament.
You are now in the host room and can manage your callers from the call-in studio web interface.
There we go. All right,
Audio
maybe that'll be
recording is
better.
on.
All
Dual
right.
channel.
Isn't it lovely to hear everything that we're trying to do here? What the problem is. I don't have this kind of problem when I'm at home. I don't know what the hell the problem is. Anyway, 812-393-2600 is the number on the chat. Of somebody saying, Ken, wonder if your caller from last week that said Galloway should never shoot another three again still thinks that. Galloway, 4 of 4 from 3-point range. No, yeah, 4 or 5 from 3-point range. Finishes with 16 points and 9 assists. Had a heck of a game. There's no question about that. Had a heck of a game and was really strong all the way through. You got to give him a lot of credit. He's been up and down as the season has gone on, but the Hoosiers got um, good quality contributions from a lot of different guys tonight. Ballo has been generally solid, but he's hasn't been quite as productive lately. He finishes with 20 points. Galloway, 16 points, a pile of assists, did have 6 turnovers, and we'll get into the stats in just a little bit. But Miles Rice hit a big three. Uh, Indiana scores 46 points after halftime. And so all of this is obviously a huge positive for this ball club. The question for me is I thought that this had a possibility of being a trap game for Indiana because of the fact that coming off that high of beating Purdue over the weekend, and now you come and you take on Penn State on a Wednesday night, it could be a little bit of a challenge to kind of have that same intensity. And we saw that a little bit. Uh, Look, the Nittany Lions gave the Hoosiers absolutely everything they could. Indiana's far more um, talented than Penn State, uh, but they always give the Hoosiers headaches. Their quickness gives Indiana headaches, plain and simple. And it it became very clear early on that they felt that they um, could kind of isolate Balo and try to make things happen with the Niederhauser kid, and he was effective. He had 16 points. All five Penn State players score in double figures on the night. Uh, but then again, five IU players scored in double figures. So there was balance. There was quality 3-point shooting. Indiana had a whopping 24 assists on 29 made baskets. This is the kind of basketball on the offensive end that people have been hoping Indiana would bring throughout the season. Hasn't always happened, but it did on a Wednesday night and at the time that they needed it the most, to say the least. 812-393-2600 is the number as we get going here, waiting for your phone calls in this one. Indiana uh, showed some grit tonight. Showed some grit, overcame some issues, and just got the job done. So as we wait for phone calls and we look forward to that, I wanted to bring you comments from head coach Mike Woodson during his post game press conference, uh, which there were some interesting things that he said on this. And so, without any further ado, here's Mike Woodson.
Mike, another night when it seems like you're comfortable riding experienced guards, Miles, Trey, Anthony for big minutes in the second half. Just how much are those guys kind of providing the platform for this team right now?
Well, I mean, again, these guys the seniors don't get another shot at this. So, they know what it's about. Anthony and Gallo have been with me the longest. Goody's had a good run at Illinois. Now he's with us. So, Ballo's senior, got to ride him, see where it leads us.
Daniel, I want to say after Wisconsin, you said it's a team that just wasn't strong enough up top. It just kind of lacked that real true mental strength, right? The last however many weeks, you guys have really come together, gelled, really fought. What is it that's kind of just sparked this late toughness you guys have found?
Well, I've never said my team wasn't mentally tough or physically tough. I think at the end of the day, we've lost some games that, we were right there, man, a bounce of the ball here or there. We probably not even having this conversation, but these guys are playing for something. We're trying to get in the tournament. And, we got 3 games left. Got to go out west now tomorrow, and we got a few days to prepare and get ready for Washington.
And then Trevor?
Yeah, Mike, Trey's had an up and down season, lost his starting job when he kind of went into that shooting slump. You go back to him. What gave you the confidence that he'd step back up for you? And how have you seen him kind of handle the adversity he's faced from kind of the injuries, to losing the job, to getting it back this season?
Well, he's had a tough go at it. You guys gave him a hard time at one time. There's a lot of things, man. But I never stopped believing in Trey. Trey's been with me the longest. He's put up with a lot of shit from me. And, I trust him. He does a lot of good things on the floor. Yeah, he makes mistakes. They all do. I make mistakes. But at the end of the day, I know he's going to play hard and give 100% when he's out there. And that's all you can ask for.
Trevor, the top.
Yeah, Mike, Penn State had a lot of success in the first meeting, going to the basket, and then in the first half. But second half, you guys seemed to shut them down a lot more. Was that a defensive change at halftime or just more execution? What kind of led to that?
Well, when we played them up at their place, the first 7 minutes, they got like 12 points just on backdoor cuts. And that was something. We gave up 2 tonight. That was something that we really focused in on, and we tried to keep their side pick and rolls where they weren't rejecting us and sending it back over the top where all the help was. And they still had some success there, but for the most part, I thought our defense was pretty solid, especially coming down the stretch. Both teams were scoring at will, and like I told them at halftime, it's the team that's going to defend and rebound this half that's going to end up winning the game. And I thought coming down the stretch, we made the defensive stops that we needed.
Mike, if you could just real quick, Malik situation, and then secondly, a lot of times people talk about down the stretch of the baskets, but if you can talk to just how well your defense has been in closing out games here these last week.
Well, our defense has been solid. Malik, right now, I'm just, I got to get an update. I know that we took him to the hospital emergency. He was fine and shoot around, and then he came down with something, and so I don't know where we are with Malik right now. But the sooner he can get back, the better. But it's next man up. Everybody's just got to stay ready.
Mike, got some productive minutes out of Kaden Carlisle tonight. What's been your conversations with him to try to keep him kind of going in a positive direction?
Stay ready. Stay ready and focus, because you just never know, man. I mean, this game is a funny game, and somebody goes down, and you mad at the coach because he hadn't played you. Now you're not mentally and physically ready to play. And I just tell guys, stay ready. And what minutes you do get, make it the best minutes for our team in terms of helping us win basketball games. If you do that, then I'll come back your way again.
Coach Mike, 5 double-digit scores even without Malik, 24 assists, your first time with more than 20 assists since the beginning of December. How important is it for this team to be able to move the ball, to have all these options, and how different does it make your team with that many different options?
Well, I mean, it's something that we've been searching for all season. I thought the second half of the Purdue game is the best we've played all season defensively, and we scored 48 points, so that meant the ball was moving and guys were sharing the basketball. And tonight, we shared it again. We scored 46 points, and the ball was humping, and that's the way it's got to be. I mean, we just can't rely on one guy. We've had 4 or 5 guys in double figures in 2 straight games, and we're going to need that going forward.
Coach, in the final 6 minutes, Trey hit a couple threes, Miles Rice hit a 3. I feel like we're always sitting here asking you, why aren't the threes falling? How good did it feel to actually see clutch ones go down in a moment like that?
I've been saying that shit for 3 years. Guys, have been getting good looks, but just hadn't knocked them down. And tonight, we made them. I mean, it was nice to see. So I hope that's a good sign, moving forward.
1-2-393-2600 is the number. I was chuckling about the that last little note there from Mike Woodson. As I've been saying that shit for 3 years. Yeah, the shots just haven't been falling for 3 years, Mike. I don't know that that's exactly the case, but they did tonight, and that was really important. It keeps Indiana's hopes of an NCAA tournament bid alive. Indiana managed to hold on to win despite not scoring a field goal in the last 2.5 minutes. But Penn State missed its last 5 shots, missed 8 of its final 10 attempts, and that certainly helps. And it's Indiana's defense down the stretch that would manage to string together some stops. I will argue wholeheartedly with Mike Woodson about the defense. You consider that Penn State shoots 52.9% on the day, and that is not fantastic. Now, that said, in the second half, Indiana's defense was better. Penn State shoots just 11 of 26 from the floor after the break, made just 3 of 10 from three-point range. Some of those shots were open, though, and there's a reason Penn State is 5-13 in the Big Ten and hovering around 500 overall. It's because they're not a great team. And they took Indiana to the wire in this one. But it's a win. That's part of the equation. It's just a win. So the Hoosiers managed to pick that up. Let's look at some of the individual stats on this, as we also want to remind you, 812-393-2600 is the number. Late on this Wednesday evening, work night. I understand that, so we'll keep the phones open for a little while. I want to hear from you. That's the important part on this. But I'm not gonna, hammer this horse into the ground. It's late on a Wednesday night, but let's talk about some of the stats here. Indiana led by Umar Ballo, 20 points on 8 of 14 shooting, adds 12 rebounds, 5 assists, couple turnovers, plays 36 minutes. Again, with Malik Renew out of the lineup, it fell on Ballo. Langdon Hatton came in for a couple of minutes, but it was really just for a spell. It was to try to, it was a matter of Omar having to put in the minutes, and that's he performed. He did a very nice job. Trey Galloway, 16 points on 6 of 11 shooting, 4 of 5 from a 3-point range. He had 3 rebounds, 9 assists, 6 turnovers. He was plus 16 on the night. Nobody else for Indiana was more than plus 6. So Indiana was effective with Trey Galloway on the floor. You have Mackenzie Mbako, 13 points on 6 of 11 shooting, just 1 of 3 from 3-point range, but he did add 2 rebounds and 2 assists in 28 minutes. Luke Goody, 10 points on 2 of 4 shooting, 2 of 3 from 3-point range. He added a couple of rebounds, 3 assists in 35 minutes. And Anthony Leal rounds out the starting lineup with 6 points and 4 rebounds with 3 assists in 30 minutes. Off the bench, Miles Rice, 13 points on 4 of 6 shooting, 2 of 2 from 3-point range, including a big one late in 23 minutes. Kaden Carlisle came in and had 5 points on the night, was -9 in just 10 minutes. So, and again, Hatton was -3. 812-393-2600 is the number. We have a caller. Caller, if you could give me your name, where you're from, and what you got.
Hey, it's T-Bone from Fort Wayne. How are you tonight?
Good. How are you doing?
Good, man. Hey, thanks again for your show. I enjoy listening to it. I don't want to talk necessarily about Miles Rice's hair or Woody's chair, but I want to talk about what do you think about the West Coast swing? Do we have a chance of traveling that far, solidifying in Washington? And if we lose to Washington, do we still have a chance to get into the tournament?
I think if you lose to Washington, you're done. I think like much like tonight, if they had lost to Penn State, they were done. Losing to Washington, which is a team that just pulling up the stats right now, Washington dead last in the Big Ten, 4-13 in conference, 13-15. You lose that game, and you have a it's basically you're done for.
Even though let's say they lose there, you come back and beat Oregon. Does that kind of level the playing field?
I don't know that. I mean, it would be important to beat Oregon. It'd be helpful, but it's also important to remember that Oregon is 500 in conference, much like Indiana. So I don't know that it gives it enough of a boost to erase a struggle against Washington.
Yeah. Okay. So let's say it doesn't go well on the West Coast. Big Ten tournament. How many do you think we need to win to get in?
I think you really have to start stacking them then. And you're looking at probably a loss to Washington would be absolutely devastating. And at that point, maybe you have to get to the finals of the Big Ten tournament. Because look, this is an Indiana team that has not looked like an NCAA tournament team, except for certain stretches. Even tonight, I wouldn't say that they looked like an NCAA tournament team. They won the game, and that was obviously really really important. But in terms of being an NCAA tournament team, that's rough. But of course, it also comes down to what happens in other conferences and with other teams. So, look, Indiana has a path, but that easiest path is just keep winning games.
Right. Yeah. I'm watching Ohio State. They're up 14.5 on USC. So, we need to definitely beat them. And then my last question is, and I'll let
wait,
you go.
hold on. Let me ask you this.
Yes,
Why do
sir.
you think we definitely beat Ohio State?
Why do you think we definitely will?
Yeah. Indiana beat them
What,
by 1 in overtime at their place and choked on a 10-point lead in the last 5 minutes. Look, this team is
right.
to me there are no, guaranteed wins left on the schedule, save for maybe this Washington game.
Right. No, I'm saying I'm watching currently. Ohio State is up 14 on
Ah,
USC.
okay. Sorry about that. I misunderstood you.
So yeah, no, that's fine. So they're a formidable foe as well. But my last question was going to be how, like Big Ten versus some of these other conferences. We get 10 teams in, we get 9 teams in, whatever. Do you see the Big Ten having some success, minus a Michigan State, a Wisconsin?
They, I would say they can. Again,
Okay.
tournament is different because it so much comes down to matchups and everything that goes along with that. I still believe though that the style of Big Ten play, I think, runs into an issue in the NCAA tournament because games are called differently. It's not as physical, and year over year over year, there's a reason why you have this conference that is as good as it is, that struggles so much in the NCAA tournament in terms of finishing it off.
Do you think that has to do with the season, or excuse me, their tournament being the last tournament? Like, there's no layoff.
I don't think so because a lot of conferences, I mean, you're talking about an extra day because a lot of them finish on Saturday. And so you're talking about that one extra day. I don't think that's enough to really impact things at that level.
Okay. Hey, man, I appreciate your show. Thank you for all you do. You do a great job.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it. Take care.
All right, buddy. Be good.
812-393-2600 is the number. Want to hear from you? Extension for Woody. It says, I think Woody may have finally gotten over that bump. He did say that the ball was humping tonight, which I thought was interesting. We haven't heard that from him before, that the ball was humping. I don't know what that means. But I do know that, again, Indiana did a great job of sharing the basketball. Um, and also, let's not, I hope Malik's doing fine. I don't want anybody to misunderstand this. But Woody was forced to go with the one big tonight due to the issues with Malik, and it was effective. We've seen this. When Indiana only has the one big on the floor, they're more effective. He did a better job with that against Purdue, especially in the second half. Um, but this is a team I think that unquestionably is playing a lot looser than it did previous to the Woodson announcement. And I can also guarantee you this, that Woody right now is got to be thinking, I think they acted too soon on this thing in asking me to walk away, or I'm sorry, that I got to make sure I got my official release story correct, that he came to them. Bottom line on this thing, it's clear he wants to go out on a high note. Why wouldn't he? Still hasn't talked about uh, the decision to step away. Still not doing, pregame stuff and talking to the media like he always did. And whatever, winning ball games is the important thing for right now. And I'll give Indiana fans a ton of credit because this building pushed Indiana to a win, helped them, gave them the um, kind of the energy they needed. And the Hoosiers end up winning the ball game, moved to 17-11 on the season. Now, it should not be overlooked that this game finished up 3 straight home games. Indiana has not played on the road now since what was it? When did they play? February 11th. So it's been a couple of weeks since Indiana has played on the road. That time couldn't have come at those wins could have come at a better time, to say the least. Um, Big win over Purdue. A win over Penn State is really important, and they did just enough. And at this point, late in the season, it isn't how, it's how many, and they got to number 17. 812-393-2600 is the number. We have I thought that we had another caller here, and we may well have. This 260 number just disappeared. Sure would love to hear from you again. I was about to go to. Uh, Seth says, when was the last time you talked to Woody? Has he avoided you? He hasn't done a pregame press conference uh, in some time now, and it is he will do the 5 minutes in the postgame, focuses only on the game itself, and that's so that is he's not talking to anybody, and that's just kind of where we are. Timbo Slice on the chat says, I just got finished watching the game. That was a lot closer than it had to be. That's kind of my takeaway too. The W is important, and I don't want to downplay the importance of the win or the fact that they managed to score the victory, because there was a time there in the second half that the Hoosiers were down. They were in about midway through the second half. They're down by 5 and managed to come back and flip that into a win. That's really, really important. But again, I keep coming back to this being a Penn State team that is not exactly great. Penn State is second from the bottom of the Big Ten, and there's a reason for that. 812-393-2600 is the number. Got a caller. Caller, if you give me your name, where you're from, and what you got.
Yeah, this is Tommy. I'm calling from Portland. My question is, coaching going forward as we look here. Do you think we got a chance at like Chris Beard, or do you think we got a chance at I don't know, like who like somebody like you in the know? Who do you think we got a chance of getting?
I would let your hopes of Chris Beard go away if I were you. I just think that there's going to be too much baggage with him, that it's not something that here's the thing. You're making a hire, okay? And I know that there were he has been at Ole Miss for a while now. The things at Texas, um, that baggage, it's still there. And if you have a choice of being, which let's face it, this is the biggest open college basketball job. You have your pick of who you want. If you don't have to go for a guy who comes with a pile of questions, you're going to look elsewhere. The guy that I continue to think could be a real option is Scott Drew at Baylor, and here's why. I know that he turned down Louisville and Kentucky and all that before. Indiana's resources are almost unparalleled when it comes um, to NIL and things of that nature. The Big Ten is obviously a tough conference, but Baylor has been successful in the SEC, but it's getting tougher to win in the SEC. He's been there for 23 years, and sometimes you get to a certain age. I think he's 54 years old. Um, you want a new challenge, and I feel like that could be yeah, one of the guys. I know that Jeff Rabjohns, talks a lot about Mick Cronin's name coming up a lot at
Yeah,
UCLA. That is another
yeah,
one, and
yeah.
so that's kind of where we are with that.
That makes sense. Well, Steve Alford bring his son from Huntington, Corey, with him.
You know what? I think that Alford is interesting, but for my money, I think that there
Yes,
is
sir.
a if I'm personally making that hire, the age kind of disqualifies him. Because as much as it hurts me, Steve Alford is my all-time favorite IU basketball player. He
What,
is,
what, yeah, what's his age compared to Drew, though?
well, he's 60. Alford is 60 years old. Scott
Okay.
Drew, I think, is um, let's see, I can look. He's 54, and it's only 6 years, and I get that, but 6 years is 6 years. And so, to me, you want somebody who's has that opportunity to be here for 10 to 15 years as your next hire. That's should be kind of the goal. considering Indiana's last two coaches have lasted 4 years and 4 years. Um, one of the knocks on one of the negatives, not knocks, but negatives about the hiring of Mike Woodson was his age. It's one of my concerns with the hiring of Kurt Signetti. For as great as he has been, he isn't a kid. But if you
Yeah.
can get a
Uh,
program from point A to point B, that's really important.
yeah. I mean, I watched Painter's post game the other night, and he talked about um, IU just not letting them have a chance. I didn't know what you thought about that.
I can understand his perspective as the Purdue head coach, that he would like
Or he want
the guys that have are not having the success that they maybe should, being shuttled out. If I was a coach of Purdue, I'd be like, yeah, let him be more patient. But I disagree with that. It is a matter of you don't just judge a coach on what he's done, but it's the direction of the program as well. And I feel like the direction of this program hasn't isn't headed in the right direction, especially with some of the things that were going on before the announcement. And to me,
understand.
that is where it is. I do know this. Matt Painter grew up as an IU fan, wanted to play here, but wasn't recruited. So I do sincerely believe he has, you know, the he wants IU to be good because he thinks it's good for the conference. But I would take what he says too with a little bit of a grain of salt.
I understand. Last question. I'll let you go here. Uh, like, what would you think if Painter switched over? Would that be
Uh
the craziest thing ever, or what?
yeah, I'd fall over dead at that one. That there's no way. There's no way that's happening right there. Now that said, I just that would be something else. I do know that in
But
all the dealings that I've had with Matt Painter, he's been a really nice guy, but
he's
he's
a
locked
great
into
guy
where
and a
he
great
is.
coach, right?
Oh,
Yeah,
for
I
sure.
understand. All right, man. Hey, great show. Thanks so much, man.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it.
All right, man. Take care.
812-393-2600 is the number. We got another caller as we now move into Thursday morning. May I have your name, where you're from, and what you got?
Hey, this is Peter from California.
Hey, Peter, how you doing?
Good. I'm calling back again. I called after Purdue. Another great win. It wasn't easy. I was pulling my hair out with Rice missing those free throws, but nothing's coming easy. We lost a lot of games that I feel like we all felt like we could have at least done a better showing at the end. But this one, I was convinced we were going to give it away, and it's just thinking, just based on the track record. But I'm super happy for the guys and the coaching staff. I'm just glad to see them, fighting.
Oh, for sure, and they've shown exactly that. That they are willing to put in the fight, and they're not giving up. Um, they are not necessarily always. Yeah, the inconsistency is still there. It's still, that hasn't gone away. The first half of Purdue was one game. The second half of Purdue was another. This one was kind of the same way. But they are continuing to battle, and I feel like at times they will play down to the level of the team that they're playing, but they got the victory. And it's not how, it's how many. And that's, they are all focused on getting to the NCAA tournament. And, picking up this win was a big step in that direction.
Yeah, I agree, and I agree with you with playing up or down, playing down a lot more often. And like you said, they aren't giving up, and that's a good thing because it's I can't speak for the entire team. I know there was some questions about Mbako, why he didn't start, and that's irrelevant at this point. I thought he played pretty well today, and just to rally around whatever they need to, just to continue to just put out I wouldn't this whole season. It has nothing to do with Woodson and his future, but I wouldn't have minded had the guys fought and lost. It's just so many of the games they just it's almost like it's not, I won't say quit. It's like they believed they were going to lose, and there was just a lack of fight, and not even kind of switch. Even prior to them, with Woodson's quote unquote retiring, but it's just good to see them come out on the positive end of a couple of these games, even though they did try to make it a lot more difficult for themselves.
What I think is interesting is since that announcement has happened, there have been a lot of different changes. You've seen Indiana play some zone. You've seen lineup changes. You've seen guys who are normal starters come off the bench. And I think part of that, honestly, has to do with the fact that it's not like there's anything that could be used against Mike Woodson and his coaching staff in the future on the recruiting trail or anything like that. Any promises he had to these players that could be shuffled to the side because it's not going to come back to bite him. There's just more of a freedom, I think, that goes along with it. And Trey Galloway was asked about that in the post game as well, and he said, we're all taking it as every game is precious, and we're fighting. We understand that our time together is limited, and I think that the fact that Mike Woodson isn't going to be here and it's going to be a completely different program next year is allowed these guys to kind of um, maybe relax a little bit. Whereas the tension of what was going on with Woodson uh, was so strong, and once that was vented, I think guys are playing a lot more loose.
Yeah, and I heard the Hoosier Hysterics mention today. I listened to the podcast before work about how the reason why he retired or whatever, whatever was because of this exact scenario. And I don't know if there's validity to that. It sounds reasonable to suggest that yes, based on how the schedule lines up, that this would have been a dilemma that they could have found themselves, Dolson specifically, in had they been blown out by Illinois and so on and so forth. But then it came out, squeaked into the tournament, regardless of what they did. And then you're looking at Woodson making 3 out of 4 years. It would have been a tough thing to do, I guess, on its face to just let him go after something like that. I don't know that I necessarily agree with that. Again, I'm just happy that they're not giving in. They're showing fight. I do see them. I mean, it's so late in the season to act about cleaning things up. I just don't see, them. If they make it into the tournament, great. That's a great story. I know that if they're on the fence, they'll probably get the nod of getting in for the drama of Woodson and that rallying cry, kind of like NC State, a little bit different but similar last year. But yeah, I'm just really happy that those guys. This was a huge one. I mean, you call it a trap game, you call it whatever you want, but I could have easily seen them getting beat today. And
I
I just,
I said that I thought it was a classic trap game here.
yeah, exactly. Well, listen, thank you so much for the call. You guys do a great job. Thank you so much.
Really appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
All right, cheers.
812-393-2600 is the number. We'll stay on here for a few more minutes. Get in your calls. Seth on the chat said it might have missed it. Do we know any specifics on Malik other than ER? And the answer is no, at least not right now. Because I came from the press conference, came directly here to do the show, and really I haven't heard more than that. Though the way it was described sounded either like food poisoning or I know there's a nasty flu going around that seems to be hitting people quickly. And so if that's it, I don't know, and I can't begin to know what the story was on that. But hopefully he'll be back soon. Hopefully this will be a real short-term thing. I do know they're leaving for Washington tomorrow. So because look, Indiana has a quick turnaround here. They're going to be back at it. Uh, when is it? Saturday, I think. Is it? Yeah, yeah, it's Saturday at 6 o'clock. So that's going to be good. And thank God for the 6 o'clock tip off, because damn, I hate these 8:30 tip offs. I really, really do. But I think that you speak for everybody, Seth, when you say you hope that he's going to be doing better. Uh, Penn State got a lot out of Ace Baldwin, who's been a pain in Indiana's ass for a long time now. And he's a good player, scored 22 points, had 5 rebounds and 5 assists. He was really, really good and gave the Hoosiers a lot of trouble. And, they still managed to walk away with the win. Got another caller. 812-393-2600 is the number. Caller, give me your name, where you're from, and what you got. What happened? What is going on? I'm clicking these things, and this just popped up. Call back that 812 number. Call back, please, because I don't know what the hell happened just right there. It's wild how this works. I got a little note saying that it couldn't change the status of the call. So I don't know. Please give me a call back. Uh, Again, I know that we're moving into 12:10 a.m. on Thursday. Uh, guys got to go to work. I appreciate all you folks out on the West Coast sticking with me. Really appreciate it. So where do the Hoosiers go from here? Obviously, they only have 3 games left in the regular season. You have a trip to Washington. A couple days later, you got Oregon, and then you come home for senior night uh, against Ohio State. Um, all of those games are winnable. I can see Indiana losing 2 of them. The Washington game, I would be really surprised, but kind of the quick turnaround and the travel and everything, we'll see. But Washington hasn't been very good this season. Obviously, they sit at 13 and 15 overall, just 4 and 13 in Big Ten play. Wisconsin just beat the hell out of them. Um, they've had a long losing streak, including losses to Illinois, Michigan State, Michigan, Purdue, and Oregon, and UCLA. Lost to Nebraska, lost to Rutgers, lost to Iowa. Which, let's face it, guys, Indiana's lost to a lot of these same teams too. So there's that. But the Hoosiers are running out of opportunities to build a resume. They can't really afford a hiccup along the way, and they have to try to finish on a high note. Again, I really give them a lot of credit for the fact that they ended up scoring the victory in this one because there were chances for IU to roll over, and they didn't do it. And the crowd helped push them along. The team's toughness pushed them along. And again, this team has really come together to play for one another and made the stops when they needed it in the second half to score the 83-78 victory. I'm going to go ahead and shut down the calls for now and kind of close this out so everybody can get to bed. But really appreciate all the calls and the attention. We'll be back at this after the Washington game, which, again, 6 o'clock start. We go on when they're on the road. We go live immediately following the final buzzer. So be sure to check us out. That should be right about 8:15 Eastern time is when we go on the air. It takes a little bit longer because I have to do the press conference when they're at home. But on the road, right after the final buzzer, we go live. Want to check them out tonight? 83-78 win for the Hoosiers to move to 7-11 overall, 8-9 in conference play, and opportunities ahead of them. Well, that's all the time we have for the Peegs post-game live. I want to thank you for listening, and I want to remind you to visit Peegs.com for the very best in IU football and basketball coverage you're going to find anywhere. Nobody covers Hoosier recruiting better than Jeff Rabjohns, Matt Weaver, Trevor Andershock, and Jared Kelly. So go be a part of a thriving and exciting community at Peegs.com. Folks, you are not going to be disappointed. Folks, we're out of time. But for now, and for Jeff, Matt, Trevor, and Jared, I'm Ken Bykoff saying thanks for listening, everybody.